Welcome back to Liquid Lunch. I'm Bill Cortez filling in for John Tobacco. On January 5th, the majority of the Senate hangs in the balance in the two Senate runoff elections in Georgia between incumbents David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler versus Democrats Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. Over and over again, we've seen stories come out about Reverend Warnock, who is a pastor in Atlanta, of stories from his ex-wife now, and a very troubling story that came out recently from a summer camp, or a camper from a summer camp that he used to run. Let's bring that up about horrific abuse at the church camp, including urine being thrown on kids and forced to sleep outside. This is really sick stuff that we're hearing. And I think Ryan Fournier wrote something out. I think he had something on Twitter about just how sick and deprived Warnock is. There it is, Radical Warnock should drop out of the race. The accusations that we've seen, the things that we've heard is really, really troubling. And the fact that there is potential that we're going to put this guy in the U.S. Senate is frightening. But what's very clear is I think it's important that we all know what's at stake in this Senate election with these two senators, these two Senate seats down in Georgia. The difference is a difference between Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell. The difference between more Republican judges or more liberal-leaning judges that we could see coming out from President Biden. This is real right now, and that's why we've seen hundreds of millions of dollars raised by both sides, poured in, thousands and thousands of activists, voters, supporters, all, I think, hitting the streets down in Georgia. The president is flying in again this week in the rural part of Georgia, about 150 miles north of Atlanta, to try to drive that rural vote up to turn out for Republicans because they're going to need it. We saw the funny business that happened on Election Day in Georgia. We know what happened down there, and I think Republicans are fired up, but they can't take anything for granted. Democrats have tried very hard and spent 4 years of making sure that they turn out their vote in Georgia, a state that traditionally was a Republican-red state, but it has turned purple. And if you believe some of the numbers that have come out of Georgia, went Democrat for the first time since 1992. And so it's a real challenge, I think, for Republicans to hold on to these seats. I'd give them the advantage right now, but there's no shortage of outside money that the Democrats have spent in this race, and I think that it's that it's interesting to see what's going to happen as we move forward. We're only a week away from this special election, less than a week away, and I think the fact that the Senate majority is at stake here means it's really all on the lines. The difference is a divided government where you have Republicans that can slow down some of the Democrats' positions and some of their policies, or you're going to have Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the White House potentially. And I think we saw what the Obama years gave us when they kind of ran the table. Nothing that we wanted. They gave us Obamacare and a whole slew of really terrible policies. And so I think that's what's at stake here in Georgia, and I think it's important that people know that. But when we talk about the votes and who's counting the votes and how we're counting the votes, it seems like not a lot has changed since November. I think we have a slide here that talks about the fact that they're using the same system that they used in November. I think this is something where, again, we're going through, are we going to see a replay of Democrats putting their fingers on the scale? We saw the videos that were released from Georgia of poll workers. I think Republicans have smartened up in terms of their ability to watch the polls to make sure this funny business doesn't happen. But for those of us that have been in the trenches, those of us that have worked in these campaigns and have seen what Democrats do, where they hide ballots in bags in back rooms and they magically stumble upon them, or things happen where Republican votes are thrown away. These are not coincidences. We see this happen all the time, except this time it potentially affected the outcome of the presidency. And so I think Republicans have smartened up. Karl Rove is running an independent expenditure committee, making sure that they cover. They're running a very aggressive field operation down there. Outside of the Republican National Committee, who has sent all of their staffers, state directors, political people, everybody down there. It's all hands on deck right now because everybody, both Democrats and Republicans, know what's at stake here. So I think we've covered a lot in this show. We've talked about the mismanagement here in New York State and here in the city. We've talked to people who are out there fighting the good fight, who have said enough is enough and are throwing their hat in the ring. Ordinary people who are just trying to make a difference here in New York. We've talked to our friends out in the West Coast who are fighting the good fight on the West Coast as well, against Gavin Newsom, the Democrats in California, the California liberals who time and time again have thrown their weight around with COVID and have failed time and time again. And we've talked about the big story of the week, and what is bound to be the big story over the next 7 days is this Georgia runoff election. And I think it's really, again, this is for all the marbles. This is for all the marbles, and this is the difference between Democrats running all three chambers, running the legislative and the executive branches down in D.C., or some sort of divided government that's going to slow down the craziness in D.C. that we've seen. And so that's what's at stake here. John's going to be back tomorrow. So thank you for allowing me to fill in. Thank you for everybody on Facebook. Make sure that you're checking out Liquid Lunch on biz.tv. Check out our Facebook page. That's where the live stream is. Check out the Twitter at liquidlunch.com. Check out my Twitter at Bill Cortez. Let me know your thoughts on the show. And I think everybody needs to have a healthy and safe new year as we move into 2021. So it was a terrific show. Thank you for all the guests, Julio Rivera, Bill Pepitone. We've had Joe Messina. Thank you for everyone who came on. We appreciate the help and the insights. Ozzy Palomo as well. Everyone who called in, we appreciate the help. Make sure you tune in again tomorrow, same time, same place. Again, you can check us online. We're streaming. We're carried on a number of stations too across the country. So check out biz.tv to check out where you could catch us on TV and online. And we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.